Good evening, and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, July 22nd, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance from Pastor Clint Jett with Life Fellowship Community Church in Des Allemands.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we recognize the privilege that you've given us in this great nation, this great state, and this great parish to conduct the business and operations of our communities. We pray your blessings on the proceedings tonight. We ask, O God, for each council member to receive godly wisdom and keen insight as they oversee the matters of each case and each part of this agenda tonight. We pray special blessings upon our parish president and all those employees under his leadership. We ask, O Father, that this night would be success for all as we continue to look to you for guidance and leadership moving forward in the days ahead, that this place that which we live would be the greatest place in the state of Louisiana, is our prayer. And we ask you all these things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Jett. All right, approval of the minutes. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of July 8th. I have a motion by Mr. Bruyere, second by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes unanimously. Special business proclamations, canvass returns, etc. 2024-0253, a proclamation. Vehicular Heat Stroke Awareness Month. Ms. Skiba.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas, according to the National Safety Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, reports that the number of child hot car deaths for 2023 was 29. On average, 37 children under the age of 15 die each year from heat stroke after being left in a vehicle. Heat stroke is the leading cause of death in vehicles for those 14 and younger, excluding crashes. And whereas it is hard to overstate the toll this takes on families, but together we can help put an end to this tragedy by taking some important steps. And whereas the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is launching a new campaign to prevent hot car deaths, Stop, Look, Lock, to educate and empower parents and caregivers to make simple changes to prevent unimaginable tragedies. And whereas vehicles can heat up very quickly with temperatures rising 20 degrees in as little as 10 minutes, creating a deadly situation for anyone locked inside. And whereas no one wants to think they could forget their child or loved one, but the facts show it can happen to anyone. And whereas by locking the vehicle door when it is not in use can prevent children from gaining access to the vehicle and minimize the risk of them getting trapped. Never leaving a child alone in a vehicle, even rolling down a window, does little to keep a vehicle cool. Some newer vehicles come with a backseat reminder that will allow parents to check their vehicle before they leave. And if you see a child in distress in a vehicle, call 911 immediately and get help. And whereas St. Charles Parish encourages parents, family members, and caregivers to work together with agencies by promoting the Stop, Look, Lock Prevention and Awareness Program, and to relay the information obtained to friends and coworkers through social media. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the parish president, do hereby proclaim August 2024 as Vehicular Heat Stroke Awareness Month in St. Charles Parish, and urge all citizens to help prevent the tragic loss of life of kids and pets being left in unattended cars. And I believe we have Ingrid Green, Keisha Lego, and Diane Painter to accept.
going to take a couple, okay? And one more.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Parish President Matthew Jewell, our council members, any government or parish officials present, and all it takes to make up this waiting congregation, I am so pleased to stand here before you tonight. My name is Ingrid Green Adams, and I have the privilege and the pleasure to serve as the 2024-2025 President-elect for the St. Charles Women's Club, in which I do hereby, on their behalf, graciously accept this proclamation from our parish president and our council. I want to thank you all, our parish president and our council, for all of your support. We greatly appreciate all of your diligent efforts in helping us with our program, No Child Left Behind. And we thank you for acknowledging Vehicle Heat Stroke Program Month. We appreciate your efforts. May God bless each and every one of you. I want to just introduce you to two of our members who are here. My second Vice President-elect, Ms. Keisha Legault, and our member of the program and a member of our club, Ms. Diane Pantier. And we have two of our council members who are also a part of the St. Charles Women's Club, and that would be Michelle DeBruy and Holly Fonseca. And if there are any other members here, and I'm sorry, of course, I would be remiss if I would not include my dear friend, please forgive me, Ms. Lysandra Wilson, at this time. Okay. May God bless you all. Thank you again for allowing me to speak and have this time with you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
As a token of our appreciation for all of your help, we are presenting just a little token to the council members. It's a little bag that says, "Don't leave us behind."
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Green. We appreciate that and appreciate your group. All right, next on the agenda, reports of finance and administrative activities. 2024-0255, the Ark of St. Charles. This is Victoria Bryant.
So good evening. Thank you all for having us. Thank you, our parish president, and to you, our council members, for continuing to support the Ark of St. Charles and our efforts in serving people with a disability. Tonight we do have Aaron. You want to come? Is that the laptop? Is that the laptop for the? This here? Okay, there we go. Can you get this one? Okay. It's getting ready to take your laptop. And it's like, wait, what? Okay. So these are our guys. So we have Aaron, who is in our finance department. Maggie was on vacation, and so Aaron will help us tonight with our PowerPoint. We have Billy King. We have O'Neill. We have Jenna. We have Christopher and his wonderful mom, Penny. And so we won't take much of your time, but we do have a quick presentation. I want to say a few things regarding the support that the parish have given us, the millage dollars, and some of the successful things that we have been able to do. with the partnership with the school board. Can you all hear me clearly? Okay, good. So with the partnership with the school board, we were able to purchase the property at 13710 Spanish Trail. So now it belongs to the Arc of St. Charles. So that's with the support of this community, and so we needed to be able to have our own, and now we will be able to move forward in doing the renovations to make it what it needs to be in terms of serving our people. We were able to purchase 3 new vehicles. We've had to remove several of our vehicles and put it out of circulation because of air conditioning or just motor, or just various things wrong with the vehicles. So we were able to purchase 3 new vehicles. And I'm so proud to say on August 4th, I will be celebrating 30 years with the Arc of St. Charles. So that's been a long time as well. Thank you. And so now I have Miss Penny to come up with Christopher and say a few words. And she's a parent. And
I'm Christopher.
I am Christopher James. And where do you go?
The Ark.
The Ark.
Oh, my other home.
My other home.
Help with the
I'm happy with Mr. Mack.
and with the
Miss Victoria.
and
You want me to go ahead and read? Okay. Hello, my name is Penny James. This is my husband Donald over there. And this is our son Christopher. We have been with the Ark of St. Charles since May 2024. It took a long while to get where we are at the Ark. But since Christopher has been in the Ark, he has been very excited to be there and to participate in the programs such as the library in different parishes, bowling, field trips to Baton Rouge. Also, he was involved in the summer camp this summer, and he met 2 very, very special people to him. And he cared for those 2 people. And it broke his heart when the camp ended, because that is his buddy, that is his friend, that is what I'm here to do, Mommy. I'm here to help. He's a very helping child. And we love him, and we thank y'all for the Ark, and we just want to go further and further and further, and hopefully get him into the community college to do computers, because the boy can do PowerPoint like nobody's business. I can't even do what he does. He's our only child, and he is our pride and joy, and as he says, he loves the Ark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
And so now have our People First Board to come and do a quick, it's very quick, won't be long. Come on, guys. Are you first? Come on. Okay. You want to get it started? They're a little nervous for some reason. They talk me to death.
Miss Victoria, I'm not nervous.
All
I
right.
got this. I got this.
All right.
As you all know, we are the Ark of St. Charles. See the able, not the label.
All right.
Very good.
All right. The St. Charles People First Committee. People First of St. Charles is a self-advocacy group designed to ensure the protection of rights, to encourage individuals to speak up for themselves, and to expand opportunities for individuals with disabilities. This committee meets monthly and is run by and for individuals with developmental disabilities. It supports persons with disabilities and empower them to become effective decision makers, to gain more independence, and to enjoy life as equal citizens. People First of St. Charles is part of a statewide organization that provides practical assistance and support need for individuals to become self-advocates. The group empowers members to take control of their lives and actively participate in and contribute to their local communities.
Thank you.
So this is our People First Committee from the 2023 to 2024 board. O'Neill Lejean is the president. Billy Trey King is the vice president. Jenna Johnson is the secretary. Malcolm Moore is the parliamentarian, but he's also a sergeant at arms. That's his new position now. Robert R.J. Polito Jr. is a board member, but he's also an advisor. That's his new position now. And also Perry Zarang is also a board member.
So we're just gonna keep it moving, and these are some of the activities, so, y'all wanna say something else about this, or we're just gonna keep it?
This was when we all went to the state capitol.
Okay.
It was art day at the state capitol. Let's talk
We
about.
can do that.
No, we already did that one. Let's talk about Malcolm. Malcolm is one of our SIL individuals, which means we provide 24-hour care with assistance from the ARC. He can maintain his independence by living in an apartment and holding the title of store associate at our thrift store, Cajun Village. Malcolm is a sergeant at arms for our People First board and also represents St. Charles Parish for People First of Louisiana. Malcolm's dream is to attend college and obtain his degree as an IT tech. Effective this fall semester, Malcolm will finally step foot into college to start his journey. Way to go, Malcolm!
So we're not going to read all of it, so we're just going to talk now. So this is their giving back to the community, and the reason it was important for these guys to be here, we need to hear their voices. We need to let them express what it is that's important to them. We are not the determinant factor of their lives. We can barely control our own life, and so yet trying to, find out what somebody else is good at. And so it's important for us to find ways of how to hear their voices. And we do that through our People First group, and they are very vocal. As you can see, they control everything, and so it's important. Okay, so let's keep moving. These are some of the volunteer places that they're volunteering at, and of course, stay, that's their being positive. All right, keep moving because time is passing. This is the library. We're trying to find different ways for them to go, so not just going to the library. So when someone here say they're at the library, they're not just sitting there. They're trying to do volunteers with circulation. How do you circulate the books back into the system when someone has pulled it off or checked it out? Trying to teach actual skills that people use while they're at the library. So we're not just going to sit there and look at books. Okay, the Botanical Garden. You want to say something about that? I haven't gone there.
Well, usually every Thursday we go there just to pick up they got branches on the ground, we pick up trash, and that's about a lot of volunteering.
Okay. employment development training, and so that's what we're doing now, trying to partner with the River Parish Community College. We have just enrolled 2 individuals to get their GEDs. They had a certificate when they were in high school. We found out they have more potential, and so they tested, and so they're at the River Parish Community College trying to work on a GED. Okay? Aaron?
And this is two
And
of
those
our
are the 2 guys.
The 2 people.
Daniel and Celia, and so they're all excited, to be at the community college. They knew they could do more than what they were doing, and so it's our job to try to find that and pull it out of them. Dufresne is one of our clusters where we have the individuals. Many businesses in the community have been so wonderful, and so we're hoping they're listening. Other people are listening and call us to give an opportunity, and our guys get to go weekly just to volunteer. We're trying to develop job readiness skills and job preparedness, and what does it take to work? How do you, socialization? All of those things are important on the job, and where's the best place to teach them that, and that's actually on site. And so Dufresne is one of our cluster partners. Frank's is another one.
Table
Table
Cafe is also another one.
What you love.
And Best Life Nutrition is also another one, which I also love
You
that
also
one.
love that one, too. Upstart, this is our summer camp, and we had 12 campers. That's all we could afford to do with our funding, but they went everywhere. And it's a career exploration camp, so it's not a summer fun camp. It's a career exploration camp. So while we do give them an opportunity to swim and do all the fun stuff, we also create opportunities for them to develop skills.
Me and O'Neill actually did Upstart Camp last summer,
Yes.
and we learned a lot from it. It's
We
very,
went to different colleges.
yes, it's very beneficial.
And then smiling is contagious around the park. And so,
See, we're all smiling now.
okay, is that it? Okay, I think that's it. And see you again soon. That's it. Any questions?
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Victoria, I just want to say thank you for how you have expanded the program. And I know the clients love doing what they're doing, and just for the expansion of the program is wonderful. And I know some of the clients, and it's wonderful just to see what they're doing.
Yes, wonderful. We accept volunteers all the time. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. All right, next on the agenda is 2024-0254, Department of Community Services. Ms. Joan Diaz. Give everybody a minute to get out of there. Just gonna come slide right in. Hi, Ms. Joan, how you doing?
Hi, thank you. Let's see if I can walk and chew gum. I think it's the middle button, right? Okay.
I think you can handle that quite good.
I think I can manage that, thank you.
Yeah.
So what I want to do tonight is just give you an overview of the services of the programs that we offer from the Department of Community Services, talk about some of the stats and the finances, how we make things happen in our department, those different funding sources, and just give you some of the outcomes that and talk about some of the issues that we also face in today's world. Excuse me, the allergies have me over here. Okay, so basically the mission of the Department of Community Services is to provide safety net services and supports to struggling families, and we do that in a variety of ways. We have a comprehensive continuum of services and supports for individuals and families throughout the entire parish. We work to make it happen in collaboration with our community partners. Those are similarly situated agencies that have resources that we share, we coordinate with, so that we're not duplicating effort when an individual needs help. So we work it through the continuum in our office, but where we can't help them for whatever reason, we work with our community partners to find that support that they may need. We also provide programs for youth at risk in targeted communities, and that's a growing area of support for this department. Initially, the department focused on emergency services. It has expanded to provide those life skills and developing programs for youth to do a lot of prevention in the communities. And we assist homeowners, homeowner-occupied rehabilitation through a variety of sources. Our primary program areas, as I said, emergency assistance. That's assistance with utilities, rent, food, shelter. Now, our shelter, when I say shelter, might be a couple of nights in the hotel until we can work the program, or working with them with with a safe space if it's a domestic situation. We have very limited resources in shelter. It's not the model that you might hear in a place like New Orleans, where they have large agencies serving homeless people, because we don't have that population. Most of the shelter people that we deal with are people that are in crisis or in transition. We provide year-round community-based services for youth at risk. We have a vital program, the Summer Food, that's growing because of the cost of food in America and the food deserts and the food insecurity that's growing among our youth. And we provide homeowner-occupied repairs through different ways. So I'm going to just kind of go through those areas and give you some stats and numbers on how much we're spending and where those resources come from. We provide seasonal support through our LAHEAP program, Low Income Home Energy Program. It's one of our major programs in collaboration with the state of Louisiana Housing Corporation, Louisiana Housing Corporation. It's a federally funded program, pass-through dollars through that state agency. And it's a formula based on factors, demographic factors in our parish. We provide what we call a seasonal support because there's heating allocation and a cooling allocation, and we dispersed over $300,000 to families with mostly electric bills, some gas bills through that program, serving over 654 families just through that pot of money. In addition, under the LAHEAP program, we have crisis support, and that's individuals who are threatening a disconnect with a notice because of losing a job or some crisis that has set them over their budget for the month. And through that program, we're able to help them in addition to the regular LAHEAP, the seasonal support, and we've dispersed over $41,000 and helping 111 families in that pot of money. Now, last year, we had a special program funded called the WAP. It was a water assistance program. It was a one-time deal. We were able to draw down and access, helping spend some money, which I'm happy to do anytime the state of Louisiana needs that help. And we were able to help people with $171,000 in water bills just through that program, which was a vital resource, especially post-hurricane, because people were paying double water bills because they might have had a trailer and a house or an apartment and a house. Emergency assistance, other pots of money federally funded. CSBG, all these acronyms, Community Services Block Grant, provides some limited resources for us. Most of that CSBG pays for the salary, a portion, I will say a portion, because general fund pays for a good part of it. It helps to underwrite the staff, the caseworkers, and their salaries. But we do carve out some direct assistance because some people don't meet the qualification for LAHEAP, so then they can come to us and we can help them through this pot of money through utilities or rent or that they may need help. And we did about right under $10,000 on that. We have local allocation, thanks to the generosity of this council, and allocating, we did $38,000 in a variety of ways to help people. Utilities, rent, medical assistance, that could be a prescription a senior can't afford that's not covered, or medical equipment, and shelter, that's those nights in a hotel, primarily fire victims there. This year, I was able to work with Jefferson Parish under the consortium that we're already in through the HUD Home program, which was primarily utilized for home repairs. But HUD Home encompasses a lot of areas, so I was able to access that tenant-based rental assistance program because I had so many people coming to us for rental assistance, and our limited pots of money through local and CSBG only allowed us to do somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 toward rent. Well, as you know, rents were skyrocketing. So through an agreement under that HUD home agreement, we were able to access and draw down an allocation of $350,000 that we can draw down over 7 years. That we just started at the end. This is statistics from 23, so I was able to get it toward the end of 23, where we are allowed to do $1,000 of rental assistance based on a crisis that we document through that pot of money. And we spent the end of 2023, $7,000 of that money. It's a vital resource for this parish. Atmos also allows us to go into their system and provide direct assistance for disconnects on gas bills. It's a flexible pot of money that when I need it, I call them, they refill that bucket of money, and helps us for people who don't meet the other program criteria. Emergency food assistance is a growing need. And this is 23, stats, and I can tell you we're already over this in the trend of this year. Second Harvest Food Bank, we were initially a crisis site. Our goal was to provide emergency food through the Second Harvest, not the monthly distribution that the Methodist Church does and other distribution sites. We gave out 601 boxes of food at our local food bank. That's Second Harvest funded, and I was very blessed to have local support and direct funding through corporate partnerships, begging them to help us. With that pot of money, I supplemented heavily by purchasing food through the local community. And, where it started out being somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 boxes a month, we're at 100 boxes a month. And that's food as well as not just a bag of food, but it's also freezer space for meat and produce and vital things. We gave out 371 Thanksgiving baskets last year. Our Center snack program has grown to where we can access food from Second Harvest, but we also purchase food thanks to, again, corporate donors. Now that's all the sites, all our after-school sites, we gave out 14,000 snacks last year. When I say snacks, loosely, it's not a bag of chips. We are preparing simple meals for after-school beyond nachos and chips. And kids get off that bus hungry, I can assure you. And it also includes, we're piloted this year an early drop-in program where we're feeding breakfast to kids before we put them on the bus. And a simple breakfast, but it's taken off. Summer food program last year was 3,143 lunches. This year we're pushing 4,000. Quick math on my stats. Give you an idea of home repair. Next. We have different pots of money for home repair. So HUD Home is for more substantial projects. So we did 3 projects. It's an extensive qualification process that we have to go through. Local health and safety projects are things done with local funds in coordination with volunteer labor primarily. Sometimes we may have to pay a plumber or an air conditioner repairman or something like that, but primarily smaller repairs up to $5,000. USDA grant, we did 8 projects last year. We've got the funding. We're waiting to sign the final contract for this year. To continue, we've done some roofs and handicapped bathrooms, for an example of that. And the United Way ramp program, we built 19 ramps where Volunteers of America does the actual ramp. I want to say about that program, the funding was cut in half this year. So we're kind of struggling to figure out a strategy for that, to make you aware of it. Homeowner occupied repairs, you can see the funding streams. We spent $59,000 and some dollars on HUD Home, $77,000 on that local health and safety, and that included some IDA repairs too. Thanks to you all having that fully funded, we were able to really leverage the resources that were out there for home repair, working with the United Way on the committee and working with all the volunteer groups that came into the parish, like Salvation Army, and really make good use of that. And USDA Rural Development, for that grant year, that was the end of a grant year, $38,000 in that calendar year, and we spent $103,000 on ramps. Community center programs, we averaged 35 kids in the summer enrichment programs, 3 sites. Thank God we're back up to 3 sites, Boutique, Kelowna, St. Rose. But based on the size of the buildings and the resources, that's pretty much what we can handle appropriately. And that includes fun activities, field trips. They get on the bus, go to summer food, but it also includes some enrichment, educational, informal educational programs, and some cases a tutoring component. The early drop-in, 86 different kids, we say unduplicated, different kids come on different days, but parents can drop off their kids. I have a lady there at 6:30 in the morning, cooking grits and biscuits and everything else you can imagine. And the kids come there, depending on their parents' work schedule, catch the bus there in St. Rose. And it's something that I really want to see trying to duplicate in other areas as well. After school drop-in, average daily attendance, so different kids sign up for the year. We average 20 to 35 at each site after school. Homework help, tutoring, fun stuff, lots of food. And we do a variety of adult specialty programs trying to engage the community. Life skills is the focus, but it's also enrichment. You know, we do the sip and paint type things, and we do fun bingo kind of things, but we also do a lot of educational, informational components there. And kind of give you an idea of some of the things. Lunch and Learn, I want to say, has taken off tremendously, where we have a hot meal once a month, each site. A lot of times that's underwritten by one of our corporate partners, where we cook and people come and they have an informational piece of a topic that is good for something of interest in the community, or some informational piece that they need to get out, or an enrichment piece. It could be about relationships during Valentine's Day, or it could be about parenting during this, whatever the month holds. So we do specialty topics. And we gave out 1,500 lunches. Now, if you think about our small little sites in Kelowna and St. Rose, that's a lot of cooking over there, and really good meals. So because of, limited time, I gave you a quick overview. We work with those community partners. Who are they? Catholic Charities. They get funded through different programs locally through the United Way. Social Concerns is a vital piece. Every dime that goes into that thrift store profit goes toward direct assistance outside of paying the overhead expenses. I'm on that board. It's a vital service in this community. And we also have apprenticeships that we provide some jobs for people who might be in difficult circumstances as well. Volunteers of America builds our ramps. The Safe Space works with domestic situations that we refer them to. Second Harvest, you can always go to them to get additional food resources that we may need. And I have to say we're very blessed in this parish with the corporate sponsors. And I don't want to name them because I might miss one, but I get a lot of things rolling in. I get school supplies. They call and say, what do you need? And summer sponsorships, you name it. It's almost unbelievable and overwhelming how great the support is. When I need it, I call them kind of. That way I don't have to aggravate Matt too much with all those extra little things. So he appreciates that. And I just want to close with, we do a needs assessment through a variety of areas. We do a comprehensive needs assessment. Every person who receives a point of service in our office fills out a survey. What did you get? What did you need? What do you need? Where's the gaps in services? In addition, we do a community survey of other data that's available out there and try to stay on top of the emerging needs in our community. You can't just be satisfied with just paying some light bills. We have to look at responding through our comprehensive system of care and case management to what is it that people are struggling with. So 2023 data compiled gives you an idea. Utilities will always be top because that's the safety net, keeping the lights on, so when someone's in crisis, they have to pay the bills. Food bank is a growing area. Educational supports, we're trying to move, we moved to the tutoring to try to do the prevention to catch the younger folks. We've had more middle school and even a few high school kids come into the centers for tutoring, and that's helped a lot as well. Finding teachers to do it has been a challenge. Medical needs, health insurance, rent was a growing area, so we garnered that resource from Jefferson Parish. And childcare, well, we're trying to work on that with the before care model. So we're trying to build upon a framework that's successful, but expand it within reason and within the resources available to be able to serve the need. You know, and the homeless, we're seeing, most of the homeless that we see is basically people getting evicted for failure to meet their financial needs. That's primarily. So that pretty much concludes all the things that we do and the services and supports that we provide, which are critical to this parish. And I thank you for your support. We'll be back with the budget hearings, and hopefully you'll understand that all those numbers there, why we're asking for them. And I'll be glad to entertain any questions if need be.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joan, I've worked with you, and I've seen you grow and expand the programming at Community Services over the years tremendously to meet the ever-changing needs of some of the most vulnerable people in our parish. You have great skill at leveraging resources and putting together partnerships and adapting.
And a good team. I have a great team. that
You
works
do.
with
Your
me.
staff does a wonderful job as well. So I just wanted to thank you because those most vulnerable people in our parish need these services. And you do a great job at getting that to them. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Bruyere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say the same. It's a pleasure working with you and your team. You do have an excellent team, and an excellent team does very well when they have a great leader. So thank you so much for all you do, and I want to just repeat those same sentiments from Ms. Fonseca. Thank you again.
We appreciate your support.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Joan, quick question. For the tutoring service, does the tutors have to be a certified teacher?
Well, we have 3 tiers that we have now hired people at. And because trying to get a fully certified teacher in a particular subject area has proven to be challenging, and even though we're paying a reasonable amount, so we do accept people with a bachelor's degree and demonstrated experience in the field. And so we have hired somebody like that, and they have been an outstanding tutor. So we're trying, to me, it's more important to have the service there with people who can respond to the needs of the kids with their homework.
Okay. And one more question. For the tutoring service, are the kids leaving from school, going to their home, and then going to the community centers, or are the kids leaving from school and going to the community center?
For the most part, at St. Rose, the bus actually, it's a neighborhood-based center. It's really close for them. They get off the bus there. They get on the bus there if they want to, and they get off the bus there. Kelowna, they typically have a drop point and they come to the center. Some cases, parents drop them off. Other cases, they walk from a drop point. But it is neighborhood-based, but it's a little more challenging because it's more spread out. And one day we're going to look at that bridge and, some of those kinds of things to have easier access.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joan, I want to thank you and your staff for everything that you do. I have an opportunity to participate with the St. Rose Community Center, and what you bring is not only services, but you bring joy, not only to the clients, but your employees, and to me as well, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
We have fun doing what we do, that's for sure. We do.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
All right, 2024-0256, the parish president remarks and reports. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. First, I want to start by saying thank you to Ray Gregson, who's here tonight and representing the River Region Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being here at our meeting. We'll start real quick with the Destrehan 2 pump station, just to give you an update on that construction that's happening over there. The work is continuing to increase the capacity and the efficiency at the station. Automatic bar screen cleaners have been installed on some of the bays. You can see, kind of hard to see there in these photos, but the framework, the concrete foundations for the other three bar screen cleaners are in. I guess they're just taking a second to cure, and then those will be put in very soon. Those have been delivered, and they will be placed. They still have some work to do cutting back the wall. You can see the picture there on the right-hand side. What at the bottom of the screen to the left, that looks like a bell. That is the bell housing for one of the pumps. And you can see where they've drilled some pilot holes in that back wall. That's going to allow that pump to be fed from both sides with water, making sure that it can get the water that it needs to pump as efficiently as possible. So they have that to do. They have some more digging out of the sump to do. And hopefully very, very soon, we will be complete, and that pump station will be up and running back to its new and improved capacity. In keeping with pump stations, we've been working to improve and just make sure that the reliability of our pump stations is always on point. We've been doing some work at the Schexnayder pump station where we replaced a couple of engines and then added a covering to keep the fuel lines and the battery boxes and all the components of those engines out of the sun and out of the weather as much as possible. We also replaced a lot of those things that I just mentioned, battery lines, fuel lines, as well as put fresh coats of paint on those pumps. That round of improvements was about $225,000 to just make sure that that pump station continues to be reliable into the future. We've also been installing some staff gauges. You can see Lewis on his flatboat there with his GIS crew around the parish. Since 2017, GIS has been capturing elevation data at pump stations and various areas around the parish. These elevations and benchmarks provide a very critical data set for the parameters of our telemetry system. And so it's incredibly important that we get this data. Otherwise, and the benchmarks are also used to verify water levels so that staff gauges can be installed typically installed on the inlet and outlet of each station. These gauges provide a visual indication of current water levels and are installed to ensure easy readability. We also put them out there so Walter has things to do when he gets out in the rain and he can go read all the staff gauges. The GIF's office is also installing staff gauges at the major pump stations and other specific locations throughout the parish. Again, the staff gauges measure water depth and can be used to validate water elevation against our telemetry system, which helps us identify if there's any problems within the drainage system. You can see that the gauges look like basically a gigantic ruler, and they're very, very visible and easy for our employees to see them in rain events. And you can see some of these staff gauges from roadways. Today, staff gauges that were installed as of today, Trepanier, Destrehan 1, New Sarpy, Schexnayder, Riverbend. They have to do the discharge side on Riverbend, and then Diane will be installed tomorrow. There are a bunch more being installed as well on the West Bank. Again, we're going to be doing them at all the major pump stations, and then just double checking the ones that we have currently at pump stations. All right, the Willowdale turn lane at US 90. If you went out there today, you saw that they laid concrete into that turn lane. Remember a few weeks ago, I told you guys that we needed to maintain that turn radius. So big thanks to Mike Palamone and the Public Works team for working with DOTD to be able to get that done. To be honest with you, we didn't catch it. The engineer didn't catch it. The DOT didn't catch it. It was actually one of our employees who was kind of visualizing himself going through that intersection who was like, I don't think this is right. And so we got right on it, and we're going to make sure that that turn radius is just as good as it was before. The project's nearly complete. The last remaining steps are just in putting the guardrails in, striping, and dressing up before they close out the job. Paul Mallard Road. Phase 1 of Paul Mallard Road revitalization project is moving along. Subsurface drainage and catch basins are being installed on the west side of the road, and the new water main has been installed and tied in. We're working with Atmos, the contractor's working with Atmos to install new gas mains along the west side of the road as well. So as you can see, there's a lot going on and a lot more to this project than just putting culverts in a ditch. We are relocating all of these utilities because we have to put culverts in the ditch and put sidewalks on top of that on both sides of the street. But ultimately, it's going to be a big drainage improvement for that area. It's going to be a big safety improvement for the residents who use that. And I promise you, we will give a much-needed break from this project once it's done before we start phase two. Current timelines, because of weather, have the project it will wrap up before the end of the year. Demobilization is supposed to start in November. Moving on to Waterworks, the Waterworks East Bank facility, Ida repairs, is about 50% complete. The walls are back up in the office, and the storage building that was demolished now has plumbing laid and the concrete is poured in that slab. The Waterworks East Bank intake project is in the final stages of FEMA approval. We've just received our approvals from the Corps to allow us to move forward. Again, FEMA is the last step in this, but that has allowed us to do a limited notice to proceed for the contractor to get all the necessary, procure all the necessary materials for the project. So that has been taking place during this time. The new intake is going to be a little bit different from the old one, that it's going to be hardened. There's going to be extra dolphins. It's going to promote the longevity and allow for it to better withstand future storm hazards. Hurricane Ida sheltering update. Exciting news for our Hurricane Ida efforts. We now have officially 0 Ida sheltering leased units in St. Charles Parish. Again, that's 0 state trailers in the parish. So you can see at one point in time, we were as high as 571 trailers, and now we are down to 0 on that side. On the owner-occupied side, we call this kind of our private registered ones. These are residents who either went out and bought one to live in and during their repairs, or people who already own one. So 270 of those were permitted through us. We are down to 26. And so if you take total numbers, that's 831 of those trailers down to 26 as we're nearing the 3-year anniversary of Hurricane Ida. If you're curious about the breakdown, Council District 1, there's 3. Council District 2, there's 5. Council District 3, there's 4. Council District 4, there's 6. Council District 5, there's 4. Council District 6, there's 2. And Council District 7, there's 2. That's where that 26 comes from. You can see 19 of those are in violation. And 7 of those are in the Restore program. So we're working with those folks who are in Restore, and we're going to work with those folks who are in violation for them to come into compliance. All right, the West Bank Spray Park is opening soon. The ribbon cutting is going to be Tuesday, July 30th at 10 p.m. We hope to see you there. But before that, just to make sure we get all the kinks out, we are going to invite the public to a soft opening this Thursday and Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, just to test out the equipment, make sure everything's working correctly. Our contractor will be on site as well to make sure that we make any necessary adjustments. But we are excited. Again, that's going to be Thursday, Friday, 10 to 5 on that soft opening, and then Tuesday, July 30th on the official ribbon cutting. All right, we have defensive driver and tractor safety training for employees. Risk Management continued its employee training program and held defensive driver training for all employees who drive parish vehicles or tractors. So far, we've had 376 employees take this defensive driving and 22 employees take the tractor safety training. Of our employees who drive parish vehicles, only 32 have not taken the defensive driving training. I want to thank Rochelle and the risk management team for coordinating these courses to ensure our employees are operating vehicles and equipment safely, and we will make sure to scoop up those last 32 employees when we can. Procurement and online auctions. We have an auction running from the 14th to the 28th. Our procurement office works real hard to get rid of this surplus equipment that we have or equipment that is no longer in use. This auction, this will be the 3rd auction this year. The last round yielded about $44,000. Most of the proceeds are going back to Waterworks. These auctions, again, are important for our procurement process, and we appreciate the department's work in making sure that auction is a success. Moving on to WIOA, the Youth Summer Work Experience Program. The Let's Work River Parish hosted a summer work experience program that had 11 young adults working in our community in both public and private sector businesses to get them ready for employment. Some of the additional trainings they received included interview and resume skills, financial literacy courses, and goal-setting programs to fully prepare the young adults for the workforce. The feedback we received from their employers has been great, and we wish our participants the best of luck as they enter the workforce in the future. I think last but certainly not least, we want to say thanks to the Historical Society, the St. Charles Parish Historical Society. Earlier this month, State Senator Greg Miller and the Deputy Assessor Tim Vial and I met with the St. Charles Parish Historical Society to sign paperwork to formally dissolve the organization after 30 years of service to our community. The members joked that they weren't getting any younger, so they saw it best to turn over the collections and paperwork to the parish to ensure that the residents would be able to view and access them for years to come. The website that the Historical Society worked so hard to create will stay up and running for all to see at www.scphistory.org. We want to take a moment to thank and give my heartfelt gratitude to the Historical Society for all they've done, whether it was establishing the Mile of History or the installation of the St. Charles Parish mural on the side of River Road Market, to their book, which has been widely popular. This group of people has dedicated their lives to preserving the history of the parish. And while I'm sad to see that the organization is dissolving, I'm glad that they've entrusted us to keep their archive for future generations. We are going to work with our St. Charles Parish Library system to make sure that we continue to archive and display the things that they've done for years to come. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ordinance introduced for publication, public hearing, and adopted at the public meeting on Monday, August 5th, 2024, 6 p.m., Council Chambers Courthouse, Hanville, 2024-0257. Ordinances and resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, August 5th, 2024, 6 p.m., the Council Chambers Courthouse, Hanville, 2024-0214. Okay, planning and zoning petitions. 2024-0249, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classifications from OL to R1A on a 50-acre tract designated Lot 6A, 223, Joe Louis Lane, Hanville, as requested by Geraldine Sanders and others. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This request is to rezone a 50-acre tract from open land to R1A single family. The request meets all three rezoning criteria. The Department and Planning Commission both recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0249 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Della Gisclair, 14893 River Road, Hornville. I'm here tonight with my family to ask for the rezoning of this property. We're no longer able to maintain it at this point, and if it could be rezoned, then it could be maintained. So we would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gisclair. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Raina Gare. I reside at 595 Courthouse Lane in Hornville. This is my third time coming here, and along with several people in the audience, so that shows how important this is to us. We are sympathetic to the family and their needs of wanting to sell the property and no longer being able to maintain it, but we are not, we do not want a subdivision. Plainly. We are concerned about several issues. We are concerned about the traffic. This is a smaller area. It is not equipped for that. We've learned during emergency purposes, there's only one way in, one way out. We've noticed that that is a big issue. Recently, when we had the issue on River Road, when they were moving things back and forth from the plant, we noticed how much traffic the buses were caused. So many different things that were just affected by it, and it causes just such an inconvenience for the residents there. We've noticed already, like I mentioned, the buses. If we were to put the amount of homes that they were requesting, I believe it was in the ballpark of 200 and something. That's at least possibly one child per house. You're adding 200 kids to a smaller school district, to a smaller, well, not school district, smaller school area. The buses are already packed for my children. My children are getting home at 4 o'clock in the evening as it is because there's so many kids on the bus. You're adding that on there. They're already overpopulated. The flooding is an issue. We just got rain just these last few days, and it's been causing an issue. The light boxes down the street have been flickering as long as I've lived there, showing that, it's causing trouble backwashing into people's property. Insurance, there's so many different variables that we are concerned about. We just feel like everything just seems rushed and that this is not the best plan for this area. We do want something to happen. We are, frustrated with the overgrown, grass and that sort of thing, but we do not wish to have a subdivision with that many homes placed back there. That causes concern for just, so many people trying to fit into a smaller area. I've spoke before with Mr. Jewell about different things with just the overgrown grass cutting, and, we've talked just cordially about it, and it also came up that the streets were so small for anything. When I was asking about it, how it was zoned previously, that came up that, it's too small of a street for large traffic. Well, if you're adding a subdivision to an already small street, we already have to pull to the side to let a car pass. 2 cars cannot pass as it is. So now you're possibly adding 200 homes and at least 1 car possibly to that, factor. It's just going to be such an inconvenience. It's just frustrating because we keep coming out, we keep trying to place our input in to show how frustrating this is for us, and we just want to make sure that we're heard. And it's very frustrating, yes, like the family said as well, for them to deal with it, but we live there. We have to deal with this every day in and day out, and it's frustrating because we just feel like we're not being heard. We feel like it's just being disregarded. I'm sorry?
Do you want some more time?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It just shows how passionate we are.
If there's anyone else who'd like to come and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Jackson. I live at 366 Pioneer Drive, and I'm opposed to it. My concern is drainage and flooding in our area from that number of homes being placed in that area. Homes have to be higher than we are now, so my concern is the drainage and flooding of our areas. It rains, we already get a lot of water. It drains off, but still, if it's constant rain, it's extremely high. So I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Good evening. My name is Minister Gregory Williams. How you doing, Mr. Jewell?
And what's your address?
371 Trailsway Drive, Hornville, Louisiana. The first problem that I have is that by Miss Vanessa house around the corner from me, everything from Courthouse Lane drains through the field, comes up the dead end by our house. And I have to. Now, it's not just because I'm a pump mechanic now, but I go back there and make sure every drain is clear because too much water is draining from Courthouse Lane in front of our house. Actually, my husband sitting there. Now, if I'm home, the first thing I do is I check all the drains at the dead end bars. Because the water comes out the forest and comes through the drain by our house. Ask her. Miss Lysandra, ask her. She right there, the water drains straight past our house. Out the field. Now, what y'all plan on doing, putting the subdivision on that tract of land, I understand y'all trying to sell your land.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Hold up. We're here to talk about zoning. We're not talking about drainage. We're not talking about problems.
That's the problem.
Okay. So
That's the problem.
Can you?
If you put a subdivision back there, y'all change the zone. If you put a subdivision where y'all plan on putting it at, I can guarantee you we'll be underwater.
Okay, well, I think we have provisions.
We'll be
in place
underwater
for that.
because that's a bad idea, that many houses in that small tract of land. No. Because if you go down Courthouse Lane, just as the lady spoke earlier, you cannot drive 2 cars down Courthouse Lane as it is already. Somebody has to get over. Everybody on Courthouse Lane here, somebody got to get over and let somebody pass. Now, what y'all plan on doing is going to take away from the people property if y'all claim y'all going to widen the street. We talking about everything that's coming for this subdivision to be built. Y'all going to take away land from people, and it's going to create a havoc because it's too small of a community for that many houses in that small tract of land. Now, I stay on Trails Way. Now, if I'm getting water already when it rain hard, I get water. Just imagine that thing y'all going to build at the back of that subdivision say going to hold water. That's not going to work. I'm telling you it's not going to work. I don't have no problem with y'all rezoning it, but building that subdivision is not a good idea. If I take 30 years to pay for some property, I don't expect it to be underwater. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Pillier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've gone to the different meetings, the town hall meetings, the 2 different planning and zoning meetings. I've heard all of the different complaints that the community has. I'm very sympathetic to that, generally speaking. I also have seen what the Duplantis Design Group is capable of. They do a good job. I do know that there is a detention pond at the end of the subdivision. I'm not going to try to comment on the traffic because I heard a lot about that too. What I am concerned about, I am a person who's concerned about drainage everywhere in this parish. And we've got a problem with drainage getting across the railroad tracks just about everywhere. In my area, we flood. And I hate to see anybody have that happen. To think that the detention pond is going to solve the problem, it's only a partial solution in my mind. Yes, 25-year storm, that'll be retained and then handled so you don't have any more than a net zero increase. In other words, less flow going out than what you had before in the fields. I think that it would be a wonderful improvement to the overall area if the subdivision is done correctly. The only thing I go back to, though, is the master drainage plans for every area that we propose something for. And this one here had recommendations for Courthouse Lane having 4 36-inch culverts going underneath the railroad tracks, and at the Fashion Golf and Country Club, 2 42-inch. That's pretty sizable stuff. And that came from the master drainage plan. I just have excerpts from it from 2021. But we haven't had anything on the books yet to do this work. It's a concerning issue if people are already having problems with water backing up. And all you need is one real event to flood your house. I don't know if there are that many people here who had home flooding. I've done it twice. I don't like it. But the problem with this is if we as a parish can't assure people, then I don't know if we're doing the right thing to rezone this land, because the council doesn't get necessarily any more than one shot at trying to make sure this drainage problem is assured for these neighborhoods. And I really have a problem with this. I struggle with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pillier. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my district, This is my area where I live at. This is my area where I was born at. And let's stop the rumor mill right now. My husband have no idea as to what I'm getting ready to say now. My neighbors know he has not been home today, so he has no idea as to what I'm getting ready to say. What I'm getting ready to say is Lysandra, not Terrell. So, first, I want to thank the residents for coming out to voice here and at the Planning and Zoning meeting about the proposed Fashion Golf Course development. Second, to my colleagues who are for and against this project, thank you for the times that you have spent researching your concerns, and at this point I have no idea as to what is going to happen. So I want to take you back so we can know where we are today. So on Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, myself and the two at-larges had a meeting with one of the developers, Mr. Peliquin, unknown that this developer had paperwork already ready in the works with planning and zoning. Unknown for the district person. Okay? The district. He spoke about what was being proposed, but little did I know, again, the district person, that it was slated to be on the May 2nd, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting. From April 10th, when I found out, to be on a meeting on May 2nd. Okay? I'm in a district. This is not other people's district. This is my district that I represent. My question to him was, do the residents know? Because if I didn't know, y'all didn't know. And I want to thank Councilwoman at Large Fonseca and we began immediately looking at dates so that we can have an informational meeting here. So she spoke with the administration about possible dates, including stakeholders, to include the stakeholders, residents, council members, and the administration so that we can obtain information about this project. So my first day was April 10th. The meeting was held here on April 22nd, 2024, and this room was full, just like you see it now. This is how it was on April 22nd. Residents had concerns and questions, mainly about drainage and traffic. Even though they were here to learn of a rezoning, they still had questions in reference to what's going to happen if the rezoning is approved. Planning and zoning meeting was on May 2nd, 2024, but it was tabled until June 6th. Again, the questions were drainage and traffic. So moving forward, and I know we're here to talk about the rezoning. Some has talked about let's do the rezone because the administration will make sure everything is done. So when I looked at the minutes, the notes from the meeting that was held on June 6th, I'm just going to quote what Matt Jude stated. If passed tonight and passed by the council, we are the ones that make the decision, is the council, who has the ultimate authority on zoning matters in the parish, would allow for a subdivision to be permitted. That would be after our permitting process. That would require a traffic impact analysis, a drainage impact analysis, a sewer technical memo to see what impact it would have on our sewer system. So that was just comments that he was just letting the public know as to what's going to happen. So did I miss something? We're currently having problems now with our drainage. Currently. Without the neighborhoods, even if we ride on a river road, which just has nothing to do with the rezoning, but just mention the river road, is that we just had this rain the other day. And did you see water or did you see the ditch? If you're not from Hornville, you don't know where you're riding. So we have issues with just drainage. And that's before 232 homes and adding 464 cars, because we're expecting at least each home is going to have 2 cars. So there you have your traffic and your drainage study. I just gave it to you. Bethlehem Street, where 1 car can pass while the other wait for the passing car. And that's before they hit Sophie mailbox. And it will back up Courthouse Lane for people going and coming. But keep in mind, the West Bank, because I represent the West Bank and the East Bank of District 1. But the West Bank of District 1 has no pumps. No pumps. We just saw the presentation about the pumps. No pumps in District 1. We're gravity fed. So you know what that means? We have to make sure our ditches are clean, to make sure that there's no debris that's holding the water. And I ride the neighborhood. I ride the neighborhood all throughout the day, sometime at night. So I ride the neighborhoods that I represent and the ones that I don't represent, because even though I don't represent a district, I was still voted. So it does not make a difference what district I still represent the people of St. Charles Parish. Now, again, I know we're here for the rezoning, but I'm still waiting for work to be done on 2 drainage projects in Hornville from 2022 and 2023. But we want to rezone property for 223 homes. 223 homes. We had a master drainage study done in 2021. I took office in 2020, and it's 2024. We had a master drainage study in 2021. The recommendation was made for 4 36-inch and 2 48-inch culverts at the end of Courthouse Lane. Courthouse Lane, here the street, Courthouse Lane, and the area of Fashion Golf Course. Hear that again, Fashion Golf Course. We're looking for just 4 36-inch culverts at the end of the street. Nothing has been done, but we want to rezone it to 232 homes. We're in 2024. We have work that needs to be done before rezoning can happen. So to my colleagues, and I say my colleagues, you have heard the residents, you have read the minutes from the planning and zoning meeting, and I ask for your support to not approve this zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to commend the, Councilwoman Lysandra, as well as Councilwoman Fonseca, for getting the information out to the residents. I think your voice is important. I do not think it should be ignored. I wish that in District 5, this type of action would have happened before a subdivision was approved in our area, knowing we were subject to flooding as well. The important part about this, as far as the rezoning to me, is will the council actually have a meaningful say after these studies are done that are required? And in the end, the way the code reads today, we really don't. So in order to say yes, we have to have some confidence that the residents that live there now will be protected And I don't feel that we have that confidence right now. And so thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. O'Daniels. Mr. Commodore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to address a few things that I've heard from the meeting. I've heard it several times. I've read through the planning and zoning where people talked about 200 homes on 50 acres. I looked at the aerial survey of the neighboring subdivision just for you guys' informational purposes. Keller subdivision, it's 20 acres. There's 126 residents on 20 acres. So this is more than double that size. I have a hard time stopping a private landowner from selling a piece of property because the parish has issues. That landowner is not controlling that drainage, and that landowner is not controlling that road. That's a parish issue. And there comes a point when we can't stop economic development because the parish has issues to address. I think that's things that we as a council need to address in a different way. But we can't affect private landowners from making land transactions based on that. You know, we talk about the area. I'm District 4, the Zalmans. You know, the Zalmans is 4% more poverty than Hornville. We had a school that was 51% poverty 8 years ago. And in 2022, we're the richest community in the state of Louisiana because we allowed development. We allowed new growth. We allowed new people. If you're going to change the state of Hornville, which at one time was the vibrant area of the parish, and revitalize it, we have to allow for growth and development. There are issues we have to address. In drainage, it's everywhere. I call Mr. Palamone and I call members of this parish every day that it rains about issues in my district. Mainly state ditches, Highway 90 ditches, ditches along state highways. But we cannot stop the development of our parish because of drainage. You guys look up north, St. John doesn't want industry, but they complain that St. Charles has more money than them. St. James doesn't want industry, but they complain that St. Charles has more money than them. We have to move into the future. We have outside people wanting to invest in our parish. You know the difference that it's done, allowing economic growth in a District 4? It's $72,000 a year more average household income in that district since we allowed for growth. So I know we have issues. They're parish-wide issues. They're not individual issues. We have months, we have issues. We have St. Rose, we have issues. But we're going to stop somebody from standing up here saying they cannot take care of this property. They cannot satisfy the desires of the neighbors. They're willing to sell it to someone who can, and we're going to stop them from doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commodore. Ms. O'Daniels, this is your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe this is a call to arms. This is a call for all of us to come together and work on these drainage issues. We need to solve this problem in order for growth to happen, like Councilman Cormandale said. Growth needs to happen, but it needs to be smart growth. So let's all work together on these systemic issues of this parish.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Mr. Pillard, it's your second time speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand everything that Mr. Carmodale is saying. I heard what everybody spoke on. I've heard people even say things like this. If a subdivision is as important as it seems to be, could we not have the developer pay for the infrastructure that we haven't been able to provide to our citizens in order for that development to go forward? It's an interesting question. The Master Drainage Plan even asks some questions like that. And I don't see where, you know, the developer's willing to spend $1 million, but that's what they have on these tables here. But it's a question. But I'll say this to you, if you've ever flooded and you know the impact that that has to you and your neighborhood and your family and everything else, it doesn't feel good. I know that, you know, development is necessary. If a development came forward today, and I felt very confident that the drainage wasn't going to be a problem, I'd be on board in a second. But this doesn't seem to be the case, at least with the neighbors. I'd love to know how many people have flooded there. I've heard that argument as well. But the bottom line is, one person flooding is probably one too many, okay? And I'll say that what Ms. O'Daniels just said is, this parish needs to take a very proactive stance so that the work that we paid for in master drainage plans, we can prioritize projects, we can put the money where it has to be. There are some ideas that I know this parish president has to gain the confidence of the citizens of this parish so that we can have a mechanism to pay for these things. But it's high time we do it so that this doesn't come around every time we have a development that we're considering. And really, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paley. Is there any further council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wilson, thank you very much for your kind words. I know you and I work very well together, and it's important to both of us that the residents in our districts that we represent, I represent parish-wide and you District 1, are heard. So I felt important to do that town hall. I know you and I don't always agree on different measures, but we always get along well afterwards. We're able to put that aside. I'm very troubled with the path that the trend that this term seems to be headed on. We both came into office in 2020. We had the floods in May of 2020. Last term's council, we immediately enacted a moratorium on subdivision development because we needed to have a better idea of what the issues were in our parish and update the master drainage plans, the sewer master drainage plans. And that was done. The master drainage plans hadn't been updated since 1995. We got that done. But since then, and during that time, we also changed some regulations. That's when the requirement for the drainage impact analysis was made, the traffic impact analysis, and some other changes to require more information of our developers before the parish administration and planning commission and council would approve subdivisions. I think we did a good job. Is it perfect? No. But I do think it protects residents' interests. The idea that we're not going to allow any development in this parish until all of the priority projects or all of the projects in the master drainage plan are completed, that's going to be a very long time, decades at least. I can tell you all that if councils would have taken that stance since 1995, there are multiple subdivisions throughout our parish that would have never been developed, including the one that I live in. Multiple subdivisions. So that is not a direction that I want to see our parish take. Are there issues? Yes. There are issues that we will continue to work together with the administration as a council to tackle. There's nothing new, okay? I had 10 years on the administrative side before I ran for office. We had drainage projects back in 2008, 2007. We worked on those. We got funding, but I can tell you that takes years. Every parish has issues. Many have drainage issues in southern Louisiana. That's something that we have to continue working on as an administration and a council. But it's just, I feel like we have enough measures in place that the last term council put in place to protect the residents. Y'all are, I sympathize because everyone feels the same way. They don't want a subdivision or development done next to them. My area had the same thing. We had a subdivision developed that the last council basically inherited, had no say over. It got developed. There were many fears that there was going to be flooding, and I can tell you so far, so good. I do feel like we have the regulations in place to protect the residents. And so I'm going to continue voting consistently, like I have this term, on rezones that the issue is a rezone. It's not a subdivision that's before us at the moment. When that happens, if it happens, I feel we do have the regulations in place to protect the residents. And we will continue working as a council and an administration on the drainage issues in this parish. But realistically, those drainage issues and resolving them is going to take many, many years, to be truthful to all residents. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Mr. Jewell.
I just want to say that, when you look at the master drainage plan and you look at each area, we still have one area out that's still out right now. That's the Baygosh and DeZalman's Parity area that we're still looking at. We prioritized the completion of those plans based on areas that we know had flooding issues. So when you look at the East Bank, that was Ormond, New Sarpy, Muntz, Norco. Those were kind of that first round of the East Bank. And then we went over to St. Rose and completed those. On the West Bank, we prioritized Hawnville and Ama first, because we know on the West Bank, that's where we do see a good bit of flooding in those really torrential rains. When you look at just what we have so far, I don't have it all in front of me, but I've got to say, once it's all totaled up, it'll probably be close to $500 million, give or take. And those numbers are really conservative in there. It's really soft engineering. So that'll be refined once you have some geotechnical. What I will say for the Hawnville area, in that when they look at the jack and bores, I think they've modeled all of that open area, whether it's behind Home Place Plantation or the former Fashion Golf Course. They've modeled all of that as developed to get the most runoff they can possible. That's what we asked for the developers to do, was to develop any land in the parish that could be developed that wasn't wetlands. So I think when they're calling out those jack and bores, they're calling out based off of what a 100-year crossing would look like. And so they probably aren't taking into account retention. I'm not here to speak for or against the rezone. If it does happen, it will be incumbent upon my administration, the Waterworks Department, the Wastewater Department, the Public Works Department, all of those folks to make sure that they build something that will not produce issues for the neighbors. That's pretty much what I said at the Planning Commission meeting as well. But I want to say that if we are going to complete projects in the master drainage plan, and like I said, we have a lot of good ones going on right now, and we're going to continue to push as many as we can. $500 million. We are a very wealthy parish, but we're not that wealthy. And so it will take some sort of dedicated revenue source into the future, and maybe for us to leverage that revenue source through something like bonding, for us to be able to make large strides in that program, if we want to see it come to fruition, like I know we all do. It's gonna go well beyond me. I knew that when we got them developed. What we were hoping for is that this would be the last plan that we would need as a parish to be able to move into the future for all of that future development. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0249. And that motion passes with Wilson, Pillier, and O'Daniels voting nay. All right, 2024-0250, an ordinance to amend Parish zoning ordinance 1981. We'll take a break while the gallery clears. All right, 2024-0250, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning in 1981 to change the zoning classification from W1 to M2 on approximately 93 acres of property designated as lot 4286, approximately 450 feet north of Highway 90, St. Charles, excuse me, thank you, Michelle, at the St. Charles Parish, Jefferson Parish line, Luling, as requested by Dominic J. Fazio for Southern Recovery Management Incorporated. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This request is to rezone a 93-acre tract that abuts the Jefferson Parish boundary from wetland to M2 heavy manufacturing and industry for the intent of expanding the existing landfill. Expansion of the landfill will require a separate special use permitting process going before both the Planning Commission and Council if this rezoning is approved. The request meets 2 out of the 3 rezoning criteria. The Department and Planning Commission both recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0250 is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. Tom Wilkinson, represents Southern Recovery Management, Inc. Ask the council for approval. Here to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Mr. Wilkins, can you state your address for the record, please?
320 UEP Long Avenue, Gretna, Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Appreciate it. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0250. And that motion passes unanimously. Next on our agenda, file number 2024-0251, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R3 to C3 on approximately 4 acres of a 6.09 acre undesignated lot, 13517 Highway 90 Boutique, as requested by Walham Anasardi. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request is to rezone a 6-acre tract from R3 multifamily residential to C3 highway commercial. The request is to place a large lot commercial business on the site, and the developer has received a special permit use for the proposal by the Planning Commission that is contingent upon this rezoning. The request meets all 3 zoning criteria. The department and the commission both recommend approval.
Mr. Albert, I have one question before we open this public hearing. On my agenda, it says we're going to rezone 4 acres of a 6.9 acre plot. Did you say we're going to
Yeah, I just misstated it.
It's going to rezone the whole 6 acres or just the 4 acres?
As shown in, it's a portion of it. It's to rezone the back half to meet it will take the entire parcel to that C3 district. My apologies.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0251 is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Trey Hart. I'm the Director of Development for the Mainland Companies, the developer for this project. Our company address is 1905 Ackland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. We appreciate your consideration, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Thank you.
Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say thanks to the developers and the representative of the property owner. We met with them, and they've been very cordial with us. They gave us a really good rundown of what they were looking to do, a very nice site plan, and showed us some examples of some of the other properties that they developed that came out really well. If I recall right, y'all did work in Texas.
All over the southeast.
Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, okay. Yep, sorry. But, yeah, I just want to say that it looks like they know what they're doing, and it seems like it may be a good thing for the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Carmadell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did have a few calls on this from residents. I don't know if you can answer this or not. I know you guys also own some property that comes out onto Magnolia Ridge Road that ties into this parcel of land. If we're rezoning this for highway frontage, I just want to make sure that there's no commercial traffic going to be dumping out onto Magnolia Ridge Road from this development.
So I believe that piece of property that you're referring to that comes out on the side road there, that is not going to be a part of this. That is not going to be used for any kind of commercial traffic.
Thank you.
Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0251. And that motion passes unanimously. Next on our agenda, 2024-0252, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1AM and C3 to R1M on approximately 2.49 acres of a property designated Track 1, Coteau de France, 111 Gwen Lane, Desalments, as requested by Mr. Brian Tragle for White Boot Investments Incorporated. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, this rezoning request would consolidate the split zone parcel into an entirely R1M zoned lot for the purpose of an RV park or expanding one. The request meets 2 of the 3 rezoning criteria, and the department, as well as the commission, recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0252 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Carmadell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michael, you just said mobile home RV park. Are we looking at permanent resident trailer park, or are we looking at an RV rental facility?
I would ask the applicant to explain that on their.
Good evening. My name is Baron Trigg. I live at 170 up the Bayou Road in Desalments. And to answer your question, it's going to be an RV park.
Okay.
It's going to be really not permanent residents, workers and people who just come in to camp.
Okay. Yeah, good. Great job cleaning the property up. I know it's been a blighted property for a while. I wasn't real sure what your plans were for it, but the work you've done already, it's cleaned it up a lot. So, yeah, looks good.
All right. Any more questions?
I just have one for you, Mr. Trek. So it's more of a public works question, and maybe Brandon can help us out. Sewer improvements, things he's going to have to do, all of that has to come through public works before he gets final approval?
It's effectively if the rezoning is approved, it's like a construction permit, except it's for the site. It's mostly processing those sewer permits and everything else that goes along with development of the park. It's treated as if it were a building permit, but it's a site construction permit.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
It was already existing mobile home park. There's already a 6-inch sewer main that goes all the way to Highway 90. There's about 8 taps on it already, so that's already in place.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0252. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2024-0238, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 2 for the Barber Road Bank Stabilization, Project P210702, to decrease the contract amount by $143,332.42 and increase the contract time by 74 days. Mr. Palamone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is also the final change order for this project. That'll decrease the amount by $143,332 and some change. Change order number 1 had about a $64,660 increase, and that's because they encountered some obstructions and additional utilities that needed to be handled. and that added 7 days to the contract. Change order number 2 here, we added 4 new items. 5 existing items were increased, 14 existing items were decreased, and we added the 74 days. Decrease of the contract on change order 2 is $143,332 and change, bringing the cost of the project down to $2,801,870.27. About a $79,000 reduction from the bid price, and administration asks for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Palamo. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to add and final in the summary paragraph and in section 1. Since Mr. Palamone indicated this is final change order, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion to add final change order to summary and the last whereas. I had second by Mr. Commodore. Section 1. Please go ahead and cast your votes to change it to final change order. Okay. That motion passes to 9 yeas. File number 2024-0238, as amended, is now open for public hearing. If there was anyone, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong, I got the right number. Is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding the amended change to this? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, is there any council discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes on file number 2024-24-0238 as amended. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. So file number 2024-0238 as amended is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who wants to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address to the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0238 as amended. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Palamone. 2024-0239, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of Amendment Number 1 to Ordinance Number 19-210, which approved the professional services agreement with Danny J. Hebert, Professional Engineer, LLC, DBA Civil and Environmental Consulting Engineers, to perform professional engineering services for the Deputy Jeff G. Watson Drive roadway extension, project number P190102, formerly Rue LeCain's Road Extension, in the amount of $55,350.00. Mr. Palamone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, again. This project, as you know, we started back in 19. It's kind of put on hold a little bit. It was under review with the DOTD. It is the extension of Judge Jeff G. Watson Drive, Deputy Jeff G. Watson Drive, provide access to the school board maintenance facility and the parish animal hospital. So as part of that process, the DOTD is requiring additional lighting, and this is going to cover the necessary lighting requirements by the engineer to update the plans to meet the DOTD requirements. It's also going to include the bidding, construction, closeout services, residential inspection services for the remainder of the project. We currently have a council approved a joint use agreement between the parish and the DOTD. Y'all executed that probably about a month ago. It is now up to the DOTD waiting for that to come back. We can't start construction until we receive that back, but this will put Mr. Hebert's company in a position to start finalizing the plans and get ready for bidding and award. And we ask for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Palamone.
We have one minor change that council's going to talk about regarding the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, on page 107 of our agenda, Exhibit C, project compensation is there. And at the very bottom, or the last paragraph in that Exhibit C, there's a typographical error. We have that the resident project representative is a full-time resident project representative. In fact, the word full needs to be changed to part-time. The dollars, the rates, and all stay the same. It's just that the calculations were such that it is a part-time resident project representative. That's what I understand was proposed by Mr. Hebert, and somewhere along the lines in the processing of this document, it got switched to full-time.
That'll be the last line, resident project representative schedule. The total amount set forth above is based on part-time RPR services on an 8-hour workday, Monday through Friday.
So before you go forward, I would ask that the council make that change and vote on that change, on that revision.
All right.
In discussing with the
Is that going to be
engineer, he
amending
doesn't
the
recommend.
contract? You want to amend the contract? You want to amend the ordinance?
You want to amend Exhibit C, and that will take care of the entire, Exhibit C to amendment number 1, it looks like. Okay. And all you want to do is change
All
the
right,
word
so I have a
full.
motion by Ms. Fonseca to amend Exhibit C to remove full-time to part-time. I have a second by Ms. Skiba. Okay, to amend the file number 24039 to change it from full-time to part-time RPB. So, file number 2024-0239 is now open for public hearing. If anyone would like to come up and speak regarding the amendment, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, please cast your votes to amend file number 2024-0239. Schedule C to full-time, that's right, to part-time. Okay. Got it. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. So file number 2024-023 now, as amended, is now open for the public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Oh, hold on. What?
I was going to say something.
Oh, you can come up, Danny, come on. I'm sorry, dude, I'm just trying to run through the script here.
I know you have a big, I apologize, I know you have a big agenda. Danny Hebert, 14433 River Road in Huntsville, thank you all for your support. This we anticipate to be a 90-day project, and inspection on this type of work, we anticipate is approximately 3 hours a day instead of the full-time 8 hours per day, and that was what that cost was based on. And we anticipate 90 days. If the river comes up, the project will stop, the services will stop, and we'll get back to work when the river comes down. We still think it'll be somewhere in the 90-day range.
Thank you, Danny, I appreciate it. And I apologize for closing the public hearing before you get to talk. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0239 as amended. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank y'all for your patience. Okay. 2024-0249, an ordinance approving and authorizing it. (2024-0240). It's a long night, guys. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an act of donation by and between Gwendolyn Dufresne Morel, Branson DeZalman's Properties, LLC, Brant Dufresne Jr., and Stephen Dufresne, hereafter referred to as the Dufresnes, and the St. Charles Parish for a certain tract of land known as Tract 3, being described as a portion of lots 251 to 259 lots 228 to 338 of the Parish Field map formerly owned by Chevron USA Incorporated, and portions of the Coteau de France Renson tract situated in St. Charles Parish is what is known as the Paradise Field map in section 31 and 43, Township 14, South Range 20, east, southern west of the Mississippi River Land District, south of US 90, west of LA 621, east of Bayou des Allemands, and comprising approximately 7.51 acres, which abuts property owned by St. Charles for the boat launch and park along Bayou des Allemands. Whew, that's a lot. All right, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Jewell, which one wants to take it?
Try reading the budget message. Mr. Raymond, you take it.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, this is simply an ordinance which, when passed, will authorize the parish president to accept on behalf of St. Charles Parish a 7.51 acre tract of land in the des Allemands area for use with the St. Charles Parish boat launch that is underway. This ordinance is necessary because Article 4 of our charter requires an ordinance anytime St. Charles Parish wants to acquire property. Would ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. File number 2024-0240 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0240. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0241, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Hussman and Associates, LLC, to perform engineering services for the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center chiller replacement upgrade, project number GB240701, in the not-to-exceed amount of $58,420. Mr. Dewey.
Yes, sir. Council, thank you. This ordinance is for an engineering contract with Hussman and Associates for design and construction management services. The project is located at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center in Luling. The building was originally built with one chiller unit, which would normally be sufficient. However, the mission of this building is quite complex. It houses three parish departments daily, youth camps, sporting events, meetings, rentals for weddings, birthday parties, as well as a local high school prom, just to name a few. These events occur during business hours as well as after hours and on weekends. Not to mention during times of emergency, it becomes a shelter for residents. So a big part of the reason this chiller unit needs to be replaced is because of the harsh environment in which it operates. It is located on the back side of the building facing the sugarcane fields, which is the west side of the building. When the sugarcane fields are burned as part of the harvesting process, smoke, ashes, and chemicals that are airborne get sucked into the cooling coils. Even though it was cleaned on a routine basis, it continued to build up. Over time, this makes the unit run harder and longer than normal, thus taking a toll on the unit over time and decreasing its life expectancy. So the project includes removing the existing unit, replacing it with two new units. Normally, they will run on a staggered or alternating sequence. This will give us the ability to shut one unit down for maintenance while the other continues to run. In the event of a high load scenario, they can both run at the same time to cool the building quickly. Having two units is the preferred configuration. We currently have 2 units at the courthouse and the EOC. That's the only other chiller units we have. And we plan on going out for bids on this project early 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey.
Thank you.
File number
Appreciate your support.
2024-0241 is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing none, we have any council discussion? No. Yeah, public hearing is closed. Apologize. Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Council discussion, Mr. Commodore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so Mr. Dewey knows and the council, I did come across some stuff last week at the National Counties Association that there are some grants available for this type of upgrades to our buildings. I kind of mentioned it to President Jewell, and I'm passing that information It's the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grants. There's about $84 million that the government's given out to do some of these energy efficiencies, so I'm going to pass that to Carla and try to get some funding to help support this project.
Thank you, Mr. Commodore. Mr. Mobley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you have any idea what the overall cost of this project is going to be?
We don't have the exact figure yet, but just estimated around $700,000.
700,000.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Mobley. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0241. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, next on our list, 2024-0243, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a servitude agreement by and between Energy Louisiana LLC and St. Charles Parish for 46,730 square foot perpetual drainage servitude designated as P-101 and a 6,564 square foot temporary construction servitude designated as T-101 over property owned by Energy Louisiana LLC for the Muntz Pump Station and Drainage Modification Project. Mr. Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the final piece that we're going to bring before you all for the perpetual servitude agreements along Highway 61 for what we call Muntz Pump Station 2. And I will say, too, there's no compensation for this, so I thank Energy for that we didn't have to pay any type of compensation for this. And again, this is the largest track. It's in between the Christina Zacella property and the Michael Treadaway property. So we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. File number 2024-0243 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0243. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for all your work. Keep plugging away at us for us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next on the list, 2024-0245, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of Amendment Number 2 to Ordinance Number 22-1-5, which approved a professional services agreement with Meyer Engineering Limited to perform engineering service for the Destrehan Wastewater Treatment Plant Aeration Basin Rehabilitation Project Number S211202 in the not-to-exceed amount of $110,000. Mr. DeGeneres.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is to add resident inspection for this project. The project's currently out to bid, due to bid August 13th. So we ask for your support.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. File number 2024-0245 is now open for public hearing. Does anybody like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering the same question that we just amended the previous one before. This one says full-time project representative services. Is that what this quote is for?
That I'm not sure of. I'm going to say probably part-time, but in the plant, there's going to be more critical time that they're going to need to be there, so it's probably going to be full-time for some of the processes that are going on in the plant.
Mr. Raymond, do you feel like we should amend this one as well for the project representative services? It's listed as full-time.
Is it, you plan for it to be full-time or part-time?
I think this one might probably going to be full-time because of the process that's going to go on for the construction of this project.
Perhaps if there's some uncertainty, maybe we can just take that.
That would probably be preferred as needed. Because like you said, there's going to be
I mean,
times,
there are times it's flexible, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's part-time, sometimes it is full.
this full-time, that is
So
correct.
maybe the best thing is to just take that out.
And leave it as needed.
It's an hourly.
It is hourly, right?
Right.
As they bill, whether it's full-time or part-time.
Right.
we pay for what we get.
I mean, I just, because we just did it for the other one, just asked the question. So, and on this one, I guess we'll motion to remove full-time completely from, let's see, attachment C. Last paragraph, number 2. We're going to remove, full-time RPR services on. So it'll read, the total amount set forth above is based on an 8-hour workday, Monday through Friday. That sound correct, Mr. Raymond?
I think you're looking at page 162, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
So I would actually consider changing paragraph 1 and 2. Perhaps in paragraph 1, you could change it to read a total amount not to exceed $110,000. And then paragraph 2, you could change the word full-time to part-time. And you have
Well, I think Mr. DeGeneres said that he may have some full-time days.
There's going to be some full-time days during critical parts.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's my mistake.
It's okay.
Correct.
It's okay.
It's on an as-needed basis.
That's how I would put it.
Based on an
As needed, required.
as needed RPR services.
Total amount set forth above is based on RPR services on a as-needed basis, Monday through Friday, over 100 hours. Now, I think that accomplishes.
Okay. Can we ask that the administration take a look at this particular portion of the contract? Because it seems like the representative services differ per project, so that the wording, I guess, is more broad, in case it's different.
I need a clarification point before we go to the amendment, and it's going to have to come from you. The ordinance states, as it's written, is not to exceed $110,000. Whether this guy works full-time or part-time, I think we're clarified at 110,000. That you're just going to have to tell me that's a legal point.
Well, if you have those, you have to look over it on the next page, on page 163, where the inspector is at $90 an hour. So you can't expect him to work for the full length of the contract on a full-time basis at $90 an hour. The math doesn't work. It's going to blow away to $110,000. $110,000, I think, is based on the lesser quantity of hours.
That's what I need, okay. So, I have an amendment by Ms. O'Daniels. Yeah, go ahead and state it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking at it, amending attachment C, amendment number 2 to the ordinance. 2024-0245, with the concluding paragraphs of attachment C to now read resident project representative services for the services of consultant resident project representative if requested as outlined in Part 2D of the attachment, a total amount not to exceed $110,000. So adding in not to exceed before of $110,000 at the hourly rate listed in attachment C1. Further amending the contract is paragraph 2, resident project representative schedule. The total amount set forth is based on RPR services on an as-needed basis, comma, 8-hour workday, Monday through Friday, over a 180-day construction schedule. So that would include, strike full-time and add on an as-needed basis, comma, in paragraph 2 on page 162.
Okay. So I have a motion by Ms. O'Daniels, second by Ms. Fonseca, to amend file number 2024-0245 to amend attachment C, paragraph 1, to change out total amount to change to not to exceed the $110,000, and paragraph 2 to strike out full-time RPR services on an 8-hour basis to replace with as needed on the RPR services on basis, as needed. So, all right. So file number 2024-2054 is now open for public comment. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this amendment? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public comment is now closed. Is there any council discussion? So Daniels, did you want to speak on that, or was that from earlier?
No, that was trying to make the motion to amend.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. All righty. Is there any other council discussion? All right, if not, please cast your votes to amend file number 2024-2045. All right, that motion passes unanimously. So now file number 2024-2045, as amended, is now open for public comment. If anyone would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, that public comment is closed. Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-2045 as amended. All righty, and that passes unanimously. Thank y'all. Okay, 2024-0246. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Cass Brothers Incorporated for concrete maintenance 2023-2024, project number P230803, in the amount of $914,593.10. Mr. Palamone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the ordinance for the council to accept the lowest bid from Cass Brothers for the 2023-24 concrete road repairs. The bid is in the amount of $914,593.10, which I'll note is $885,406 under the budget of $1.8 million. It's going to cover in this first phase, and again, these are very poor streets. Hall Street, Talbot Drive, Post Drive, Corville Drive, Milling Avenue, and Celia Drive. We'll be replacing cracked and damaged panels, replacing panels that have settled, and any base failures associated with any panel. Additionally, we're going to be looking at 2 other streets, Scorpio and Leo Street. They are currently under evaluation. And just additionally to note, under the concrete contract with Pintail, we completed 2 streets, Gum Street and also Cedar Drive. And the administration asked for your support on this.
Thank you, Mr. Palamone. File number 2024-0246 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? I got a couple of things, Mr. Palamone. Who is our current concrete person? What company?
Well, we have one contract with Pintail to do smaller repairs.
Pintail right now, small
Yeah.
contract repairs?
But who did last year's concrete concrete roads? I don't have that handy. I'll get that for you tomorrow.
I see one of the line items on here is that the contractor shall submit a construction schedule within 14 days of its dated notice to the engineer and owner. Schedule items includes at a minimum the time phrase and the days and the starting of points. The only thing I do not see in here is what about anything for them to hold them to a specific time frame? I mean, I understand weather delays, but it didn't seem like we did anything like liquidated damages or anything. I apologize. Ms. Fonseca just brought it to my attention. I did see that again, so let me remove my question. So, any further council discussion? Mr. Jewell, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to mention that when we have panels that get broken or need to be replaced from projects that we do, sidewalks, everything else, that is Pintail that does that. They're currently working in St. Rose right now. They're moving over to Muntz within the next week. After they finish up in Muntz, they're moving back to Destrehan to repair, I believe, Stanton Hall, where we had a fire hydrant that was knocked over, and then I believe to repair the panels from the work under Ormond Boulevard that we just recently did. And I think they had left from Lakewood to go to St. Rose. So they are kind of all over. It's kind of a smaller crew, but they just do individual panels here and there, driveways, sidewalks that we replace. This is a large-scale bulk. These are the roads that need to be replaced, and that's what this project is. It's a little separate from what Pintail does.
Was that similar to the one like we did on Thoroughbred, the major replacements and all of that?
You talking about driveways?
No, not driveways, the street panels. We did all of that work on Thoroughbred. Was that handled under this maintenance contract?
Probably from last year's
contract?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Palamon, you called out the street names, but what city are they in? Because it sounds like some of them might be my district.
I don't have the cities listed here, but Hall Street is going from Asphalt to Milling. Talbot Drive is Sugar House Road to Milling. Post Drive is Paul Mallard to Sugar House Road. Coralville Drive is Sugar House Road to Milling. Milling Avenue is Hall Street to Talbot Drive. And Celia Drive is from 3060 on Barton Avenue.
Thank you, Chairman. Just as Mr. Palma mentioned, we did come in under budget, and so we are going to evaluate other streets that were on the list that weren't selected as a part of this. And so we may bring that to you to be able to do more streets as a part of this program. But first, we went with the streets we thought we could get done under the current, or under the proposed cost from the engineer. So that is an option too. If there's other streets on there that you may be looking at that are in your district, they could be on our list as well, and we could potentially come back to you guys with extra streets since we're under budget.
The two streets we're looking at right now, as I mentioned, were Scorpio and Leo Street.
That's you.
Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please pass the vote for file number 2024-0246. That motion passed unanimously. 2024-0247, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1 for the Design Phase 1 bulkhead project number 210601. They increased the contract amount by $840,457.43 and increased the contract time by 89 calendar days. Mr. Palamon.
Okay, yes, this is a change order. It's got two components to it. The current project that we're looking at has two components to it also, including the old factory on the far end, up the Bayou Road. This project picks up from where the FEMA project ended and goes to the railroad trestle. And that change order is $361,737 $737.79. And it included a bunch of things, including having to do some realignment to accommodate some of the residents' requests that we had. And then on the other one, it's basically just capping off the final touches on the down to Bayou Road bulkhead. And we ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. File number 2024-0247 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up to speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0247. And the motion passes unanimously. 2024-0248, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of amendment number 1 to ordinance number 22-6-8, which approved the professional services agreement with Linfield, Hunter, and Julius for the New Saucony Pump Station improvement. Project number P220203 in the amount not to exceed the amount of $471,762.50. Mr. Fowler.
Yeah, so in 2022, we approved the contract to do a conceptual design, the upgrade of the pump station. This is now going to include the final design, preliminary final design bidding of the project, as well as permitting services for the total cost of $471,762.50. It's also important to note that we do have a CDBG grant that'll cover 100% of the project construction costs, which is roughly $6.62 million. But this, we have to pay for the engineering, and that's what this contract is for, the final engineering, bidding, and construction.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. File number 2024-0248 is now open for public hearing. If anyone would like to come up to speak regarding the item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote on file number 2024-0248. 2024-0230, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances.
Bob, your mic's off.
Thank you. 2024-0230, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 10, Garbage and Trash, Article 2, Uniform Solid Waste Management System, Section 10-22, Service Charge, A levy, to increase the service charge for solid waste collection services. Mr. Jewell.
Okay, Chairman, thank you. I appreciate the slide over to me. I had to make sure my mic was on.
Thank you for my mic.
Currently, I'll give you a little history. So, in a previous administration, we had about $1 million surplus in the fees that we collected for trash. And as you recall, your trash fee on your water bill is broken down into 2 components: the disposal fee and the collection fee. The collection fee is roughly $15 and some change. And currently, the disposal fee, which is paid for us to physically dispose waste at the landfill, is $3.63 per month. What happened when we had that surplus was the administration at the time decided to lower the cost by $2. I guess in an effort to give relief to the residents. But over the course of about 8 years, and in the span of the end of that administration and the next administration, that $1 million surplus turned into a $1 million deficit. And that was because of multiple factors. One being that they never adjusted for cost of living, and B, that the fee was just too low based off of how much trash our residents were throwing away and still throw away. So currently, we do have roughly that $1 million deficit. This year, the CPI increase, which normally happens every June, is 64 cents. There's a 20-cent administrative fee on that. And then the remaining increase is $1.15, which brings you right to $2 increase overall. That will drop that deficit by about $225,000. Obviously, that doesn't eliminate the whole thing, but to eliminate the entire deficit based off of the calculations that we have from the finance department, it would be about a $9 increase on residents. We just didn't think that doing that all in one foul swoop was probably a good thing, considering everything that's going on. Obviously, we're trying to make sure that we eliminate deficits within our budget to make sure that we have the most money possible to do projects in the parish, and not having to subsidize this. So again, the actual true increase over CPI is $1.15. There's a 20-cent administrative fee. And then there is the 64-cent CPI increase, which would have happened regardless of this ordinance here tonight. So if nothing else happens, it will go up by 64 cents. Under this ordinance, it will go up by $2, bringing the total from $19.12 to $21.12 per month per resident. So you're looking at a $24 increase over a 1 year span for a resident who pays garbage or solid waste fees. So happy to answer any other questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. File number 2024-0230 is now open for public hearing. If does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0230. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0258, a resolution to oppose the in-use locomotive regulation on behalf of the parish residents by directly expressing opposition to the Environmental Protection Agency. Mr. Pillier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This came to us a couple of months ago by an organization. It's an advocacy group for rail transfer and rail systems. They're not a railroad company, but they advocate for rail services. And they had asked for support on a letter that was going out to various congressional people, and I had added my name to that. That was a couple of months ago, and then got a connection with this guy. I found out that this organization does have a number of connections with the federal government for some pretty serious money on grants having to do with railroads, can support things like crossings, short rail, things like trestles. You know, so that caught my interest, and so consequently, I'd met with this guy, and unfortunately, not more people in the council, though I tried to get some, could do so, but I did. I was interested. Then he asked if we'd be interested in this particular resolution, so he sent it to me, and it kind of caught my attention because the state of California, who I regard as doing kind of crazy stuff most of the time, they are looking to prevent older than 23-year-old locomotives. Now, you know what runs on these rails. It's diesel engine, diesel electric engine locomotives, and many of them are old, but they're very serviceable. But they want to get rid of that and go to net zero emissions, which is entirely, it's next to impossible and impracticable. So consequently, they're going to oppose that, and they're asking different municipalities for the support in resolution, and that's what this is about, to urge our congressional delegation to oppose this policy on behalf of our residents, either through congressional action or directly expressing opposition to the EPA, whether they evaluate the grant to waiver. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pillay. File number 2024-0258 is now open for public comment. If does anyone like to come up and... We don't usually take... So, public comment. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public comment is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution actually refers to national implications, but we need to understand that a lot of our expansion and a lot of our opportunities here economically are related to the fact that we do have rail service, super important not only for land, but also for our maritime economic development. So I just wanted to state that it does affect St. Charles Parish particularly, and our economic development and growth is crucial, and that's why industries come here and industries thrive here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. I couldn't have said it better. Class railroads that come through St. Charles Parish, the amount of chemicals, the amount of things that are moved by rail, the grain. As you know, 61% of America's grain comes through the port of South Louisiana, and railroads are very, very important to it. So appreciate that. So seeing no further council discussion, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0258. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0259, a resolution endorsing waivers from Appendix C, subdivision requirements of 1981, Section 3, geometric standards, B blocks 1 length as requested by Todd Trosclair for 310 Development, LLC. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the final step on this preliminary plat approval. The Planning Commission approved it at their last regular meeting. The request in front of you is to approve the waivers for block length and ingress and egress on this Phase 3 of the development. The development pattern was essentially established by Phases 1 and 2. The department has no objection, and we also received no objection from the Department of Public Works in reviewing the street layout. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0259 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Albert, I'm trying to interpret what's going to happen back there. Is it just the block length is going to get longer and then stop, and there's going to be a turnaround, so there's going to be ingress and egress out for M1 only in one location on Campus Drive
Yes,
East?
effectively, that's correct. The fact that the block length is longer and the ingress and egress thing refers to there only being one exit from the subdivision. It's a commercial/industrial subdivision. When they originally proposed this, they talked about a separation between the industrial portion and the commercial portion at the front. They've maintained that separation. There probably should have been this waiver during Phases 1 or 2, but it simply was glossed over during when this was approved previously. So when reviewing it this time, we saw it needed to happen, advised the applicant, and sent it forward.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0259. And that motion passes unanimously. Okay, appointments. 2024-0209. A resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. The council will confirm the nomination of the Civil Service Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Brett Terrebonne, a 3-year term to begin August 1st, 2024, and expire August 1st, 2027. Our nominee is Mr. Brett Terrebonne. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Mr. Brett Terrebonne to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. And that passes unanimously. 2024-0210, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. The council will confirm the nomination to the Civil Service Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Ms. Sarah Champion. Three-year term to begin August 1st, 2024, and expire August 1st, 2020. 7, our nominee is Ms. Sarah Champion. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Ms. Sarah Champion to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0211, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 3 representative. The council will confirm nomination from the District 3 council member to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Ms. Beverly A. Dulon, a 5-year term to begin August 1st, 2024, and expire August 1st, 2029. Our nominee is Ms. Beverly A. Dulon. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Ms. Beverly A. Dulon to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 3 representative. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, folks, the last one. 2024-0212, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 4 representative. The council will confirm the nomination from the District 4 council member to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term of Mr. Randy D. Mathern, a 5-year term to begin August 1st, 2024, and expire August 1st, 2029. Our nominee is Mr. Randy D. Mathern. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Mr. Randy D. Mathern to the St. Charles Parish Board of Control, Library Board of Control as a District 4 representative. And that passes unanimously. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, the Housing Authority. Special board meeting Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, 6 p.m. Housing Authority Main Office, 200 Booty Estates Drive, Booty. The Hospital Service District Number 1, Wednesday, July 31st, 2024, 2 p.m. in the council chambers. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, August 1st, 2024, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, August 5th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. This is an announcement. Notice is hereby given that a public meeting for the St. Charles Parish Council will be held in the council chambers on the second floor of the St. Charles Parish Courthouse, 15045 River Road, Hahnville, Louisiana, on August 5th, 2024, at 6 p.m. to adopt millage rates. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Ms. Skiba, second by Mr. Brouillet. Please cast your votes to adjourn. That motion passes unanimously. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.